What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Good Karma Wrestling. I'm Jonathan Hood from ESPN Chicago, along with Brian Rhodes from ESPN West Palm, and Gabe Neitzel. He left the house in Milwaukee about an hour ago on his way to Vegas. I don't think he's going to make it, bro.
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe he might have the Gabe ESPN Radio private jet, so maybe, but I think it's going to be tight.
Well, he's going to go there because he wants me to take place in Vegas with everybody else. The WrestleMania press conference is taking place at the time that we are recording our podcast right here and right now. And you'll be able to comment live as it happens. When we get the information from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas with Triple H and all the dignitaries from WrestleMania, we will comment on it, and you can comment on it too. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, youtube.com. Look for Good Karma Wrestling. We are growing by the week thanks to you, but we can always use more subscribers on YouTube for Good Karma Wrestling. Also, like, share, and subscribe to our podcast, the Good Karma Wrestling Podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, look for Good Karma Wrestling. We continue to grow by the weeks thanks to you. And make sure you tell people we're talking wrestling every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific Live, right here on Good Karma Wrestling.
Yeah, quite a week in wrestling. It's Mania season. It's pretty fun, no?
Yeah. I mean, more so than anything else. I mean, before we even start about the lead topic, it's something we talked about, bro. It's at the end of 2023. I said, guys, 2024 is going to be amazing. If you are a young person or an old person that's putting together documentaries, this would be a great documentary for 2024. Every week there's something in wrestling, whether it's the Vince scandal, whether it's the growth of TNA, whether it's WWE, whether it is The Rock, whether it's AEW and their growth, Mercedes Moné. Every week there's something. This year, 2024, is already off to a bang. We're not even at the end of February yet, and we've had dozens of stories in pro wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, all those stories you mentioned. Okada is a free agent. Like, Okada might just pop up in a company one day, which is insane. One of the best wrestlers in the world. TNA is changing presidents this week. All of this is happening. You said not even midway through February. It's February 8th. We're barely in February, and all this is happening already.
So this is just amazing time. And as again, when we get the information about what's happening with the WrestleMania main event, we will talk about it. But in the meantime, we can still talk about this, bro. It's with our lead story. I think you're muted, sir. I think you're muted.
How about that?
There you go.
We found out Friday night, maybe not finishing the story yet, but WWE not quite announcing matches. We think it's Rock versus Roman. Is that the right move?
Well, let's start from the beginning with this story. The original plan was supposed to be Cody versus Roman 2. Mm-hmm. That was the original plan. The other plan was for CM Punk to win the Elimination Chamber and then go on to take on Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. Yes. CM Punk got hurt. Everything's up for grabs. And then The Rock, as we come to find out over the last 7 days since we were together, kind of strong-armed the WWE and said, yeah, I'll wrestle, but I want to be in the main event at WrestleMania. Now, does this go lock and step with him being part of TKO for him to say that? Is it because of his relationship with Hunter? I'm not sure what it is, bro. But The Rock says, I'll come back, but I got to be in the main event against Roman.
And also, reportedly, that decision comes before the Royal Rumble. Before they decide that Cody's going to win that Rumble, The Rock makes that decision. Not everyone is locked in there. And they do it on Friday where they still haven't announced the match. Even Monday, they had the promos where they sort of drop hints, but still no actual announcement. Monday Night on Raw, we heard Rocky sucks chants. Did you ever think we'd hear that chant again?
No, just the 90s. I just thought, with all the streamers and the crazy hair, that's when I thought that we'd see Die Rocky Die and the Rocky chant, Rocky sucks chants. That just shows you how strong the movement is for hashtag We Want Cody. Mm-hmm. It was amazing in St. Louis how people got behind Cody Rhodes and said, we want Cody. What happened on Friday Night SmackDown was just amazing to me, bro. It's because, okay, so Cody Rhodes, yes, Seth Rollins talked to him about, hey, maybe you should consider wrestling me because this is the real World's Heavyweight Championship, which I balk at, by the way. It's not necessarily the real World's Championship like Terry Funk or Bruno Sammartino. It's a nice job. I understand. It's as if I wrote it. But no, it's not. I mean, I consider Seth Rollins, as you know, the real world champion because I see him every week, whether it's a promo or in the ring. But the idea that he's selling Cody on, hey, my championship, yeah, it's just like Dusty Rhodes when he won it 3 times in the NWA. It's like, well, that's bullshit. but I understand the sentiment.
Well, it's wrestling logic. You have to understand that. And that's the thing. Like coming off that Seth promo, when we talked a week ago, we were like, you know what? There's some seeds planted there. And we were sort of leaning saying, hey, if they go the Cody Seth route, we were okay with it. But then Friday night, the way they do things where Rock comes out, Cody and him chat, and then Cody just walks out. Like it just made Cody look so bad to the point when WWE, the video they've posted, which is the most disliked WWE YouTube video ever,
Crazy.
Reposted it and cut out the part where Cody walks away. We don't need to see that. Just a stare down between The Rock and Roman. Like it's very odd the way they did it Friday night.
The reason, and again, this is all because of CM Punk. He's always the problem. Always the problem, right? AEW, the problem. WWE, you think you get a healthy CM Punk, he gets hurt. But here's the thing that I think that Triple H was thinking. Not only was The Rock saying, yeah, I'll come back for the first time in 12 years and wrestle, but I need to be in the main event. Well, everybody loved The Rock in San Diego for that first Raw, didn't they? Bro, it's still, you recall this, right? He's talking about where should I eat in San Diego, the bar, the table, or should I, be at the head of the table, that whole thing. And the crowd roared like, yes, be at the head of the table, take on Roman. But now all of a sudden, because Cody needs to finish his story, people are solidly behind Cody. This is just an amazing time because The Rock, I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares whether or not he is booed or cheered in this scenario. I don't think he cares. Because what else does he have? Black Adam didn't work. Like his movies didn't work. So heel or babyface, he's in the mix. He's going to get paid.
But he is such a prominent figure now that doesn't take hard stances either way. I feel like he's one of those guys that wants to be liked. But then today on McAfee, he was leaning in on being a heel. He talked about the Cody crybabies and how people, like, oh, someone wants to have sex. Nope, Cody's got to finish the story. Want to play catch? Nope, got to watch Cody. He's leaning in on that. It just seems so unlike him. And there's no way he expected this. I mean, the music hits Friday and that place has the roof blow off of it. So it's fine then, but then all of a sudden it's like, wait, this is what we're doing? It was just bad booking the way they did it. Like Cody looks dumb right now is the issue for me.
Well, I mean, he's the ultimate babyface, and you don't want a dumb babyface.
Right.
But here's the hope. As we monitor what's happening at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, maybe there's a change there that happened. It's Pat McAfee, it's Big E, CM Punk, and Michael Cole, according to CJ Taylor, who's watching us and monitoring this at the same time. And
some updates from Sean Ross Sapp said mixed reactions from people. Cody got booed, then Cody chants. Roman mixed reaction. Rock mixed reaction. The Rock Roman face-off, though, heavily booed. So everyone's united on that.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, that is the case. But here's, people wanted Roman versus Rock initially.
Yeah.
You do recall this. Like, it's not a fever dream, right? This is exactly what the people wanted. They want to see this because they want to see The Rock knock Roman out because they got tired of seeing Roman as a Universal Champion and The Rock coming through. Now, I'm here to tell you if that match still comes through, if that's still going to be a thing, Brian Rowitz, I'm here to tell you that that The Rock is not winning that match. He's not winning that match. He's 51. And the other thing is, too, the last two times we saw The Rock wrestle, he got hurt. You remember?
Yes. Right? That is accurate. That does happen. But they also were willing to put all their eggs in the CM Punk basket, and we know what happens every time he wrestles. So it's the same boat there. The way this week has been going, I would not rule out The Rock leaving Philly as a world champion.
But then to do what? Is he making the towns of Des Moines?
It's Roman?
I mean, no, but I'm just saying, like, at least Roman can give you a match and can stay healthy. I just believe that every time that we see The Rock gets hurt. As a matter of fact, last time we saw him 12 years ago in the ring, he got hurt and he just tore up his whole side where he could not film Hercules for like another month and a half because of the injury, right? And so, listen, I mean, it's more than cardio. It's more than stretching. It's more than working out. It is a physical battle for at least 20 minutes because it can't be 10. It can't be Goldberg now. It can be 20, 25 minutes because that's the way The Rock wants it. And so if he becomes champion, that guy will be on the shelf. At least healthy. Is that not fair?
I think it's fair. Eric Collins in the comments says, with it being in Philly, we could see the two of them getting booed during that match. My only rebuttal to that, I've seen a lot of that reaction where Cody is sort of getting that Daniel Bryan treatment, the Yeselmania. But back then, there was no alternative. Like, wrestling fans wanted Daniel Bryan because there was nothing else. We were watching WWE each and every week. There was nowhere else to go. I wonder how many of those vocal fans that pushed for their guy don't even watch Mondays and Fridays anymore and aren't even there at WrestleMania.
I'm not sure. But the thing about WrestleMania is it's for the diehards and the novice fan that drops in. This is why when Gabe says that Royal Rumble is his favorite event, is because that's kind of for the wrestling fan.
Yep.
But WrestleMania is for everybody. So that's actually an interesting point. But I just think that I wonder about not just the four that we've been talking about a lot of with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes and Roman and Rock. I wonder about Damian Priest, and I wonder about Drew McIntyre, the troll. Yes. Like, so these guys, they just can't just be partially on the side of the stake. I mean, somehow Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest have to work their way into this between now and WrestleMania. I wonder how that works by the time we get to Elimination Chamber and then WrestleMania.
I mean, Drew continues to shine. Like, an awesome job by him talking about the logic and like sort of pushing Cody. Like, no, you want to challenge Roman so he can challenge Seth. Then even the dig when Seth's like, I've already beaten you twice. Well, Cody's beaten you twice. He's been awesome. Priest is just a lost cause at this point. Like, I expect him to cash in on Dragunov and win the NXT title. That's what I expect at this point.
What is that? You just say
Why is he not cashed in?
Well, he's waiting for the right time. Cash in on Gunther then. Maybe the Intercontinental Champion.
How about the world champion sitting there with one leg after getting headbutted and laid out in the ring? Isn't that a right time?
I know in your perfect world, he's cashing on Rhea. That's what
there you go.
You want that.
I'm in.
See, that's what you want, which is ridiculous. CJ Taylor says that CM Punk on commentary as one of the host commentators saying that CM Punk is leaning in to him being passed up by The Rock in 2013 and saying that I'm not happy, but I understand box office when he talks about Rock versus Roman. Yes, Hollywood will be watching, but you know what? Hollywood will be watching anyway, even if The Rock was not there based on the popularity of the WWE.
I mean, Punk with his promo with Cody before the Rumble told him this was going to happen. Like, he said, hey, you're going to get passed up by, Hollywood, by The Rock. Like, he called it weeks ago. But also, he's the same guy that left the company because of this happening.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
And because the doctors did not take care of him.
Yeah, that's that part too.
The idiot son-in-law and all the other stuff that you've mentioned to Colt Cabana on that podcast. Yeah. Right?
Good podcast.
So here we are, bro. It is Paul Heyman being interviewed by Byron Saxton. And so they're stretching this thing out. So we probably should start to go and at least delve into number one and our top three, and then we'll keep our eyes on exactly what the WWE is going to do with this main event at WrestleMania. So what's number one for our topics on Good Karma Wrestling?
Well, we talked about the news coming left and right each and every day. This week on Wednesday, TNA's parent company Anthem announced Scott D'Amore's contract has been terminated. Meltzer reporting D'Amore was looking to increase budget. Anthem rejected that. Is there reason for concern when it comes to TNA right now?
Did some intel on this story. And again, we're monitoring what's happening in WWE. So if you're not a TNA fan, don't leave. Hang on. We're just giving you all the stories from wrestling. So don't leave us here on YouTube and on the podcast. So here's the intel that I was told the other day. Scott D'Amore did a lot for TNA. And you could see through social media that the wrestlers, and starts with Moose, the TNA champion, is crestfallen at the fact that Scott D'Amore was let go by TNA. So the talent's not happy about it.
Jordan Grace also very vocal on Twitter.
I saw it. I mean, all the wrestlers, the men and women of TNA, the wrestlers are upset. I can't say the same for the front office of TNA. And the reason why is because from what I was told the other day, bro, it was too much Scott D'Amore. It shouldn't have been all about him. It should have been about the growth of TNA. But ultimately, Scott D'Amore was balling on a shoestring budget, the best that he could, because Anthem looked at this as a pet project and not real. People think that Tony Khan and AEW is just something that, it's just kind of a hobby. No, this is a serious business for him. But for Anthem, until they try to get themselves into a real streaming and TV deal, it feels like a pet project, at least in North America. Sure. Not in Canada, not in other places, but it feels like that in North America.
But the issue right now for me is there felt like there was some buzz and momentum. Like, even with a shoestring budget, you were getting Ospreay for a few matches. You had Okada there. You were able to sign Trinity. Like, they seem to be going in the right direction, and this feels like it might result in a step backwards.
I think so, but we're going to find out. I guess here's the thing. With the new person in place, Ciccone, I believe his name is the new CEO for TNA. Anthony Ciccone, or Cicone, I believe is how it's pronounced. He is the new CEO of Impact Wrestling. What I was told about Scott D'Amore internally is that it was way too much Scott D'Amore, too much about him and not enough about the company. And here's a couple examples of that. We talk about this all the time in wrestling, where what happens behind the scenes sometimes comes in front of the camera, or an extension of your personality is turned up to 10 or 11. You and I both saw the matchup with Josh Alexander against Will Ospreay. And a great match. It's already a match of the year candidate, and we're not even until late, right. Yeah, it was amazing because you're coming off the pay-per-view Hard to Kill. Your TV is Ospreay against Josh Alexander. I told you to watch that match. We both saw it. What was the aftermath of that? It was Scott D'Amore out there talking about, this is TNFNA, and he's screaming into a mic, and it's kind of like, wait a minute. That's their moment. And the reason why that sucked is because of all people, Will Ospreay said, I'm a TNA kid. Right. Like, I love TNA. I grew up with TNA. Who says that? But Will Ospreay's from the UK. He goes, this is what I grew up with. I love TNA. I'm leaving the company, but I just want you to know TNA is great. That's how you leave. That's how you leave. Like, I put Josh Alexander over, and I love TNA. But here's the problem, bro. The problem is that Scott D'Amore came out there bellowing on the mic talking about, that's right, this was a great match. This is TNFNA. Also at Hard to Kill. Saw that pay-per-view as well. How many times we see Scott D'Amore? Right. Like two or three times. I know they have new partnerships. That's fine. You want to do it once? That's fine. He kept coming out there talking about, well, we've got this new relationship with New Japan or whatever it was. And it's kind of like it was too much. And so I think that internally they said, all right, Scott, you know what? We appreciate what you've done. We're going to hand it over to someone who's been in the company in Anthem for 15 years in Ciccone. And so they move forward. So, yes, I know that Scott D'Amore did a lot for TNA, but at the same time, it was way too much internally for the company to handle.
Here's your WWE presser latest update. The WWE and Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, they've partnered up to launch WWE Speed, a new weekly series that'll showcase timed matches coming in April.
So I saw some of this. It was on social, something like that. It was kind of dark matches, and the concept is that you're supposed to get a pinfall in, I think, 5 minutes,
5 or less. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So ultimately, the Attitude Era. That's ultimately Vince Russo's booking this.
So more wrestling to consume. That's what I'm hearing.
That's fine. TNA, I think that with WWE Speed, that sounds like, all right, let's see some of the young talent. How can they impress us in 5 minutes? Because they think that we don't have a long attention span anyway. So 5 minutes or less. Remember the 3 minutes or less thing with Eric Bischoff? You recall that? Was it a tag team? Was it a wrestler? Maybe it was
with Rosie, mentioned Rosie and Jamal?
That's it.
Yeah.
They had to wrestle in 3 minutes, or get impressed in 3 minutes or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's something.
I get it. So, because they could just showcase young talent, and you see him for 5 minutes, like, okay, that guy's over or she's over. So Triple H right now has got the microphone. My God, when I see him, he looks more and more like Dana White. It's crazy. he's got the thank you, Eric Collins, 3 minute warning. That's what it was.
Yeah, there you go.
So more and more we see Triple H with the open collar, like he's Dana White, and he's got the jacket on.
Does he have the glasses on though? That's usually an important part.
No, he's just walking around.
All right, no box score to look at.
Yeah, no, he said no box score. He's just there, just walking around in front of the crowd. That's what he's doing right now. We're monitoring it.
Yeah.
He's just walking around, just saying stuff. But that's the latest on TNA. And so I agree with you that it is for sure that TNA does have some momentum, but their issue is that they need to be able to invest in themselves in North America. Even the NWA debuted on the CW network. I actually downloaded the app.
Wow.
and their TV looks good. It looks, it's funny, and television way better than I do. Somehow, some way on the app, these shows look much better on the app than it does on regular TV. Why do I have these squares in the house? These big things with a light on it. Like when it looks better on my phone than it does actually on the TV.
We're all digital now. That's the thing with TNA is like I watch these matches and I'll watch them on YouTube, but I see the buzz. I wish I could easily find them on TV. Like it is way too hard until they get there. I don't think they're really legit. But the more companies we have doing well as wrestling fans, that's the way to go.
Yeah, ultimately, as we sometimes laugh at the NWA, it's better now because EC3 is a champion. Yeah. But they're actually ahead of the game because they found themselves on the CW platform. They have to prove themselves so they can get on the main TV. NXT is going to be on CW in the fall, the actual network TV. But for the NWA, that's a step up from YouTube. Hey, we're going to be part of the sports entertainment brand of CW Network, and we're on their app every week, and they're giving us this whole page to put all our archive footage on it. Yeah, pretty good. That's more than what TNA is doing, and that's why they're falling behind, at least in that regard.
That is true. Number 2, last night we saw the latest chapter in Hangman and Swerve, a 30-minute draw where Hangman says, nope, you don't get 5 more minutes. Then we find out Revolution, a triple threat match with Samoa Joe for the world title. Is Hangman and Swerve the best rivalry in AEW history?
Oh, the history. That's something.
5 years.
So let's think about that, bro, for a second, because we saw a lot of Kenny Omega. We saw a lot of Kenny Omega in his matches, Jericho, CM Punk, and MJF.
Yep.
I mean, I would say that definitely it's in the team photo. And the
other ones I have written down also, Bucks and Lucha Bros. I feel like you can never go wrong with that. Maybe there wasn't like a story, but like anytime you put them in the ring.
Yeah.
And goes back a little bit, but Britt and Thunder Rosa, before all the real life stuff, like that was a pretty fun storytelling with them.
Well, it might be a good idea maybe for them to come back in the ring together and make some money.
Yeah.
But that's not how they do it in AEW. No, I hate you. Okay. All right. I don't have to at least see you in the locker room. I'll just come to town. So you're not going to make any money. That's how they do it in AEW. You don't put personal issues, don't draw money in AEW, unlike how Jerry Jarrett said about the Memphis territory. Personal issues draw money, huh? But in Memphis, but not in AEW. So I would say that Definitely it's been not just a feud, a blood feud. I mean, think about it. Hangman Page drank the blood of Swerve Strickland in that match that we saw Wednesday from Phoenix. And by the way, shout out to you, Phoenix. Boy, you talk about loud and into every match. That's not necessarily a starved area for wrestling. They get their share of wrestling in that area, but they were hot for Dynamite on Wednesday. And I'll tell you, bro, I think that has to be at least in the top 3 of feuds, to the point where when you see it, you want to see more because you feel like there's more to it. 30-minute classic. And I'll tell you something that AEW needs to consider. You have to do one or the other. Either not have time cues or always have time cues. When you did hear Justin Roberts say 25 minutes in, right? 5 minutes remaining. Okay, so you're groaning at that point, right? You're like, 25 minutes, this is going to go to a draw. Either don't say anything like WWE or always give me how I grew up, 5 minutes, 10 minutes elapse, 15 minutes elapse, that kind of thing, right? You don't just whisper in the mic, 5 minutes remaining. Whoa, 5 minutes?
Right.
Did he say 5? What did he say? And so you knew it was going to be a draw, but you thought you were going to get extra 5 minutes and you never got it.
Well, that's the thing. So going into this match, I didn't really want there to be another chapter. Like we saw Hangman win or lose the first 2. Swerve was 2-0. You told the story because I felt like Hangman winning and then making it 2-1, it would have been cheap. It would have hurt Swerve's momentum. For them to do what they did last night, it feels like they're flipping both of them. Like Hangman seems sort of heelish by saying, no, you didn't beat me. You had your shot. Swerve leaning into being a face. And that's not something I expected. And I was that impressed by what they did last night in the ring. Yeah,
that's a double turn in real. We always think the famous turn of Bret Hart and Steve Austin in Chicago. We always see that as a double turn. But what we saw right there, bro, was people are just in the Swerve. I want you to just think logically. Okay, so someone creeps into your house when you're not there, and your kids are there.
Yes.
is Swerve Strickland whispering into your kid's ear about what they're going to do to you, the dad. And somehow, some way, you're the asshole.
Right.
Like, you. Wait a minute. Wait, you came into my house, talked to my kids about what you're going to do to me, and I'm the baby face?
Yeah, that's wrestling fan logic, I feel like.
Wait a minute. Like somehow, some way in 2024, Hangman Page is the bad guy for that. But like, okay, so once again, you lean into it. And Swerve Strickland, and I've heard him interviewed several times this week leading into our show. Man, he made the quote, he goes, I can't control what wrestling fans like and don't like. I'm still just me. I do heelish things. It's funny, he was asked on Busted Open this week, it's like, where'd you get your persona from? He goes, Wesley Snipes, Blade. That's what he said. He goes, because the way he walks and like the stuff in his mouth and that kind of thing, and that's like, he goes in the hair, he goes in the way I approach life. It's kind of slowly, kind of smooth. He goes, yeah, I'm pretty much Wesley Snipes. That's really my persona.
Wow, okay.
Which opened my eyes. I'm like, yep, I've seen enough Snipes movies to think that. That's interesting. Because he got that feeling has to come from somewhere, right? So that's but people like him. It's not just Nana and the dance. They like Swerve too. And that match was a banger, man. I mean, so hard hitting. I mean, there's some moves there, and I'm just like, boy, you're gonna do a dead eye on the table.
Yep.
Brother, let me tell you. Updating you on what's happening in front of 10,000 people at T-Mobile Arena for this WWE press conference. Triple H made the comment, according to CJ Taylor, this is the new era of WWE. You ain't seen nothing yet. Does that answer what's happening at WrestleMania? Oh, yes.
They are milking this thing.
Brother, you better come up with the main event right now. Now, maybe there's going to be an angle on this show, bro. It's to find out what's happening. But for Triple H to go out there and just do a TED Talk and not announce the main event is not cool at this point.
And now Bianca's out there. Like, they're just milking it. It was a free event. People showed up. Maybe they'll stick around and go to Henderson this weekend. For Collision.
They said check out Collision, yes. Yeah. Collision! Bianca Belair is in the qualifying match for Elimination Chamber. Okay.
All right.
It's what I expected. She's looking good. Rhea Ripley's going to speak coming up next. And so they're just making a whole show out of this thing.
But we didn't need this. They have shows on Monday nights and Friday nights. They have two shows where they could do all of this.
Let me tell you, the WWE, the new WWE is trying to cut out the legs of Good Karma Wrestling, knowing that we're on at 4 Pacific. He goes, hey, put it on now. And so that's what he's doing, trying to cut the legs and the momentum off of this show. That's what's happening. So, all right. So Michael Cole is introducing Rhea Ripley coming up next. But as far as the AEW and that matchup, though, man, hopefully it just doesn't culminate only at Revolution. I kind of think it will. But here's a side topic. And we'll probably get to this later this month, but I'm going to bring it up now regarding Swerve. Swerve's got the momentum. Mm-hmm. Samoa Joe, cold as champion? Cold?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't need to see him out there wrestling every week, and we do see him in promos and stuff like that. But it feels like Swerve could be the champion out of this three-way dance. And it's kind of like, I didn't see Samoa Joe as a transitional champion. Did you?
No, not at all. But Joe sort of feels like an afterthought because of how good Hangman and Swerve is, where Joe's just the other guy that they're chasing. And I think you can do it where Swerve pings Hangman and, like, that's how the night ends. Well, I guess I say that, but they're probably not ending that night. I imagine Sting's main eventing.
I don't know the answer to that, which is another question. What we saw at the ending of Dynamite last night. So, first of all, Sting and Darby Allin being the AEW Tag Team Champions, for a tag team that we didn't believe in at the beginning, through the spoken word, through the promo, I thought that Bill and Big Bill and Ricky Starks were getting over.
Yeah.
That was the best Big Bill that we've seen since WWE.
That was so good. That boss man slam when he catches Darby midair, like, that was insane. Brother. And that's the other thing for AEW. We talk a lot going into the pay-per-views of, all right, yes, we know it's going to deliver. They just threw everything together. We have, 4 title matches already set a month out from the pay-per-view? Yeah. We know it's going to be the triple threat match. We know it's going to be Sting and Darby versus the Young Bucks. Tony versus Peraza, and Orange versus Roddy. Like, they're actually giving us some time and building some stories, and we got to give them credit for that.
I do like that, because this is a heavy criticism that AEW gets a lot. It's just matches, but they are building towards something. Again, they got to keep it interesting, keep it fresh all the way throughout the month of February to get to Revolution, but it's cool. But I think it's a question that we're going to have to be asking ourselves between now and Revolution is, if Sting and Darby Allin are the AEW Tag Team Champions, and Sting's last match is against the Young Bucks, you saw the beatdown. My God, Bucks.
That was awesome.
But okay, all right, that's fine. Sting's 64 years old. You don't have to keep laying it in. For God's sakes, don't do that. You just pumping the right hands into the forehead. You took out his sons.
Young Sting took it also.
I mean, yeah. So you're giving it to young Sting. You're making Darby bleed. And by the way, the essence of wrestling, the old school, put on a white suit, make someone bleed, the blood's all over you. It's the best. Happened to Jim Cornette once upon a time. Like, he had a white suit on, bled through the. That whole story about Jim Cornette, he cut himself, bro. He cut himself, and it was cool in the studio at TBS, and he was like, I cut myself and I'm not bleeding. I gotta do it some more. God damn it. And then he bleeds a gusher right through that white suit, and Dusty Rhodes is producing in the back, and then Jim Cornette goes, "How was it?" And Dusty says, "I said a little color, kid, just a little color." I couldn't bleed. Goddamn, I couldn't bleed. It was too cool in the studio. It's like, I said a little color, baby. I said a little color, a little.
No, that main event was. I love the end of that show last night. Like, the Bucks as heels is really working, especially as like the snarky EVPs. AEW going well right now. It's fun to watch. Last night was an awesome show. Saturday was great. Like, it's been a lot of fun. But
my what I was getting to is asking you, and when Gay's back on here, we got to make this a question. Bucks beat Sting and Darby at Revolution?
I think so.
Oh, Sting's last match, he loses.
But what the alternative is, him and Darby win and they just put up the belts after?
Okay, if this is gonna happen, bro, then here's how it's gonna work. You notice that Ric Flair is conspicuous by his absence.
Yeah, he's been not around.
Ric Flair comes down in Greensboro. He screws Sting because Ric Flair's a heel, as we well know. Even though he gets cheered, he's still a heel. And he screws Sting in the last match. Now, here's the thing. It's not like Sting can get his comeuppance against Flair. Flair's not going to get a match. He can't go 15 with Sting. But I think that...
But Flair would try. Don't tempt him.
He would try. He'd be on the match for 12 of the 15 minutes, but he'd be on the ground. Sir, it's time to get up, sir. Sir, it's time for the finish. Okay, Andrade. All right, brother. But here's the thing, though. It's like, if you're going to put the titles on him, that means I got a feeling that Sting and Darby lose at Revolution. But you don't want the crowd to feel that way. Sting built the house. You want people to go, Sting. Oh, Sting lost.
Yeah, but he can still get his send-off. Darby can get on the mic and curse at the crowd and tell them to cheer. Like, I don't know. It's a good way to add to the Bucks heel also.
I guess. I don't know. I just think that because it ain't nothing else that's building that house. It's like, maybe Swerve, sure. But when they found out Sting's going to have his last match in Greensboro, that's when the ticket sales went through the roof.
Yeah, WrestleTix said they released new tickets this week.
Yeah, that's a special. I wish I was there to see that. I've invested so much time in Sting since I was in high school. To see where he is right now is really cool for Sting. I just I wonder about that match, though. I mean, don't you want people to celebrate Sting? I mean, they still will, but in a loss, that very well could be. That'd be his first loss in AEW if they fall short.
Also, some of these Sting dives, I don't know, wouldn't you be doing this every week, old Stinger? The last night's was close. He almost overshot the landing there.
I mean, he's 64. I swear to you, kids, I'm just telling you right now, this is not some deathmatch wrestler. Sting never did this in TNA, did not do this in WWE, couldn't. Did not do this in Mid-South or UWF or the NWA or WCW. He never did any of these things. He was a stationary wrestler that would dive through the ropes every now and then, but he would not do that. And so that's what's surprising.
The other thing about that, Matt, the main event, he comes out with colored face paint?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yes, for sure. Could you imagine?
Sure.
You think he's gonna look like his son, just clean
No.
shaven and
I was saying the different colors, the original Sting.
oh, flat top, blonde Sting? That's not
Now
bad.
we're talking. I don't know if his hair can do that, but we could try it.
Could you imagine a buzz cut now on Sting, flat top? He looked like a weirdo, like he does now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
In the press conference, Becky Lynch tells Rhea that she's going to win Elimination Chamber and take Rhea's title at WrestleMania 40. Why do I have a feeling? I'll call it now. Rhea retains at WrestleMania.
I'm fine with that. I also will add, in terms of those women matches, I feel awful for them because they're going to get so lost in the shuffle right now.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out a couple weeks ago what if there's a women's match that would main event this WrestleMania. And I'm thinking no, like
not at this point.
Like the opener, yeah, but main event, no.
Well, I think so. We'll sort of add on and move on to the next question. Assuming we're still going Rock Roman to main event, how does WWE book their way out of this one?
Okay, how should WWE book their way out of Rock versus Roman? Okay, well, here's what I look at here. The only way that you can do this is somehow Cody Rhodes at this press conference says, "I changed my mind. I want in on this match," and it's a three-way dance. But then it's like, who does Seth work with? Seth could work with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre could win the Elimination Chamber if he's in it. That's a way to do it. And Damian Priest, and again, it's kind of like two things. It's weird. How does Cody Rhodes have the opportunity to take on Roman by winning the Royal Rumble and not take on Roman? How is that Damian Priest is Money in the Bank winner and yet can't seem to get himself in a position to cash in on somebody? Clearly, it had to be on Seth.
Right.
So, I think that the only way that this works for me is a three-way dance. And actually, that would be good for Rock because Rock against Roman, that won't get the job done. Because Rock is not going to be – it's not like he won't be in shape. It's just that he hasn't wrestled in 12 years. This isn't like Austin KO, Kevin Owens, where Austin's just punching and kicking his way through the arena. That was fine, because he didn't have to worry about actually wrestling. It was a fight. It was a skirmish. It was a schmoz. But as far as the Rock against Roman has to be a wrestling match, and I'm not sure if the Rock can hold up, to be honest, in the match.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So a couple other options I'll give you for Mania. What if it's, and I saw someone tweet this out, where Rock's like, hey, you didn't read the contract. The Rock's the special referee to make sure there's no bloodline interference. It still is Roman versus Cody, and the Rock's the ref.
Okay, but Rock says he wants in a WrestleMania. He wants to wrestle at WrestleMania. I mean, how do you keep him out of the match?
So the other thing is Roman does both nights. It's Roman Cody night 1. Cody finishes the story. He's the champ. Night 2 is Roman Rock with no title involved.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I've heard that, like Roman working 2 nights. Well, you kind of built this house, as the champion. I mean, what if Roman says to Rock, okay, let's you and I have our match for the head of the table.
Yeah.
But not the title. Or does the title have to leave first on night 1, like you said, and then the head of the table night 2? And that way, like Cody said in his promo, I want to take everything from you. Mm-hmm. He says he wants to take everything from you. So I don't believe that Cody's leading the Samoans and leading that bloodline. I don't think that's happening.
Well, then to add to that, because Cody also said, hey, it's not going to be at Mania. Is it in Perth? At 7 a.m. Eastern, does the Roman run end at the hands of Cody? Cody goes into Mania as the champion, or does he have to win it at Mania?
Well, I mean, that's why the verbiage was confusing.
Yes.
Or just kind of like, okay, so not this WrestleMania, so then when? SummerSlam?
Right.
And by the way, I'm on the record, because I've said this before, bro, I am patient enough to wait for Cody to tell the story. Mm-hmm. I understand that the impatient wrestling fan says, no, Cody needs to win yesterday. Okay. Well, actually, all of this would have been solved if Cody won to start with last WrestleMania. This would not be an issue. But no, Vince, it was Vince's idea to stretch it out because he wanted to have 2 main events. It's different today, though, bro. You know why? It's not like, well, if Cody loses this WrestleMania, I'm talking about last year, then we do a return 365 days later, and we'll be able to make more money from it. No. The money's already there. It's WrestleMania. It doesn't matter who's on the top. People are coming out. See, it's not like Jey Uso against Roman in Detroit where it was not a sellout, right? It wasn't that. But for WrestleMania, everyone's coming. So I don't know why Vince thought it was best to delay it, because no matter what, either that night or coming up in Philadelphia, people are going to sell it out and be part of it no matter who is in the main event.
And that's what I'll also add, like with everything we've seen this past week, it is BS to say the WWE planned all this and they knew the reaction was going to be this. And, The Rock leading it. Like, they swore The Rock would come out there. You get that moment, you got that reaction. There's no way they anticipated this reaction.
No, this is all because of Punk. It's all because of Punk, because they had it all lined up. Punk was going to win the Elimination Chamber. And so then he was going to take on Seth. And by the way, so then night one, CM Punk could be able to get his dream to be able to be the event of WrestleMania. And now, like he said in his promo, it feels like he's cursed, or the event's cursed. Every time I try, either I'm cut off or I'm hurt, and I only have the opportunity. It's funny because Mark Henry said the same thing. He goes, all the time I was in the WWE, 4 times I was hurt right before WrestleMania and could not. And you know how much that sucks. 1, it's a big stage, but 2, you miss out on the money.
Yeah.
You already get your contract, but the extra WrestleMania payday that you get from it, right? And so that bothered Henry still to this day. He's emotional about it. He goes, man, I worked hard, all those damn house shows, up and down the roads, away from my family. But the culmination of it is to be able to get to WrestleMania, win, lose, or draw, just to be on hard. And then he got hurt 3 or 4 times.
No, that sucks. And that's the thing with the Cody stuff is, like, I hate being told, like, by the story, like, hey, just assuming wrestling fans are stupid. Like, we saw Cody win the Rumble, point at Roman and say, I'm coming for you. Like, why all of a sudden, like, oh, no, I'm going to walk away now. Like, Dwayne's got it. Like, and maybe they're going to tell it. And yes, we're being impatient right now. And Monday, you still had a little bit of seed planning. It just, there's so many holes right now that I'm hope they're able to tie those loose ends. Maybe at this press conference that ends in the next 4 hours. Maybe because Seth Rollins is coming up next.
I mean, so bros, here's how it goes. It's like this. If they're going to move forward with this, with Roman versus Rock, this is going to be booed like Batista toward the end.
Yep.
Or like that kind of thing at Madison Square Garden. Like when the crowd is smart, and we all are smart now because everything's in the open. And if you're going to put that match out there and push it through anyway, like you want to have that kind of moment in Philadelphia, that's fine. Or you can fix it on the fly. Yeah, this whole thing where Cody Rhodes says not now. Okay, so if he's involved in this match now in the 3-way dance, it also makes him look stupid too, because you just said on SmackDown in Birmingham, you're like, yeah, you know what? I do want a shot at you for the championship, but not now.
Right.
Not now. Well, why not now? See how bad the explanation was? Yeah. All they want to do is just sweep Cody under the rug so we can get that face-to-face with Roman against Rock. That's all people. That's all WWE. That's all Paul Levesque wanted.
And they got that moment, and that was fine. But like, there's still just so many flaws right now. And like, when it comes to business and box office, if you look at Cody, Roman, and Rock, Cody might be third on that list in terms of most appealing as champion. The Rock winning that match is getting headlines on ESPN, on Entertainment Tonight, on any media outlet you can think of. Look, Dwayne Johnson, the voice of Maui, this movie star, the guy that runs the XFL, he's a champion in wrestling. That's a big deal. Roman winning gets us closer to the summer and him breaking Hogan's record. Cody winning, great. He finished the story. That's good for wrestling fans. Wrestling fans don't matter as much when it comes to WrestleMania.
For a kayfabe storyline-based wrestling show that we watched, is the Hogan number really that important? I mean, really? In the history books? I mean, Roman's in a spot right now that no modern wrestler is going to be able to reach. I mean, I know that Triple H likes these long runs. I mean, look at Rhea Ripley. Look at Gunther. I know that they've had the championships for a long time. The championships don't move around very often. I get that. But does it really matter if Roman surpasses Hogan? Does it really?
I think the only reason it matters is they still hold Hogan up in that high regard, especially the last few weeks where we've seen more video packages with him. Like Bruno, at least to me, is just sort of like a ghost, essentially, where it's like, oh, well, like I don't really know Bruno. Like, yeah, we've heard the numbers, you've heard the stories, but most wrestling fans watching have seen Hogan and know how dominant Hogan was. And for Roman to take over the record books, I think that adds a little mystique to his character.
Yeah, I think Gabe made it. He said it best. He says that Bruno was like the AFL.
Yeah.
And Hogan's like the NFL. Like
Yep.
I obviously I'm too young to remember the Bruno run. Wasn't around. You and I were not around for that. Read about it in the magazines though,
Right.
and read about how the dominance of Bruno dominating those 4 states in the Northeast. But world champion,
Uh-huh.
more like Northeast champion. I don't know if he ever left that corridor. But nonetheless, he did have the championship, and he was a drawing champion, and so I get that. So the Bruno thing is going to be in a stratosphere by itself. No one will catch that ever, ever, ever. But the Hogan thing, maybe because Hogan's relevant now because he's getting a lot of marketing dollars around him. We're celebrating his first championship against the Iron Sheik, and so maybe that matters in that regard. But it's like, man, if Roman gets out of WrestleMania as the champion, it's gonna be like, and Cody doesn't get a chance to finish the story. I mean, people are going to really be pissed. I won't, because I know that Cody Rhodes is going to be the heavyweight champion. It's going to happen, and then from there, after about 3 years after that, he was back in AEW. So he's going to finish the story. It may not be in Philly.
Yeah. The other thing I've seen floated around is, Cody being a student of the game, mentions the Garden a bunch. Is there a way you do Saturday night's main event on NBC, on big NBC, from the Garden, and that's where Cody wins?
Okay. So I've read this and heard this too. And this was something I heard from Jimmy Corderas as well.
Okay.
Referee. And he said, because this is his era, talking about the Saturday night's main event on NBC. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that we have not brought up in news and notes. And actually, it's maybe a little bit too deep in the weeds, but it is part of this new package that they get 4 prime timers, don't they?
Yep.
On NBC?
I believe so. So Battle of the Belts 27 coming your way soon.
No, that'll be no, not that. But that they're bringing that show back, and yes, it will be. So Madison Square Garden, and let me just make sure it's clear. Saturday night's main event is the house show name on Saturday.
Correct.
Okay. And
it was a while ago, but they did it on TV at one point, no?
Yeah, well, years and years ago in the 80s.
But I'm saying, no, post 80s. I feel like there was at least 1 or 2 where they did it on TV.
Was it like when The Shield ended? Was that a Saturday night's main event that was on Peacock? On the WWE?
I feel like I remember one on TV, but I might be misremembering that.
Okay, we're getting some updates here. Seth says he showed up for work at once, talking about Roman, because Roman and Seth have taken the stage. So Roman takes the stage with Paul Heyman, according to CJ Taylor. Seth says he finally showed up for work. Roman says he will choose who faces him at WrestleMania 40. Oh, he's going to choose. Okay. Wait a minute. He's going to choose. So now here comes The Rock. And so we'll wait to see what The Rock has to say. So it's going to be Seth, Roman, and Rock taking the stage.
Okay. 5 episodes aired between 06 and 09 on NBC.
Okay.
So, peak WWE time.
Can I just tell you, here's the thing. It's an interesting idea, but I'm wondering what kind of number that does. It does a decent number. I'm good. Of course, the measuring stick now is the NFL. Anything NFL. All right, so can you surpass an NBA number? Can you surpass that kind of number? Because you can't get NFL numbers with that anymore.
No.
So could it be at the house that McMahon built at Madison Square Garden? Because it means a lot to that family, even though they're not involved anymore. Maybe that doesn't matter anymore, right? Because there's no McMahon involved. But Madison Square Garden still means a lot to WWE fans. So I've heard that theory as well. I don't rule that out either. But I mean, compare this in Philadelphia at the Phillies, the Eagle Stadium. Mm-hmm. Madison Square Garden, 19,000. Does that matter?
I feel like they still put so much name. I mean, we still hear it in basketball. Like, basketball is better when the Knicks are good, when the Garden's loud. Like, there still is prestige around that name.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the WWE seems so much bigger now than the Garden over the years.
Sure.
Because think about it. We know that it's a nice little house show to have during the holidays, around the December 26th, somewhere there. Maybe that same last week of the year, that's when WWE runs the Garden.
Yeah.
Okay, bro. At one point it did mean something, but the WWE is now in Perth, Australia. They're gonna be in France. The Garden was great for its time, and it's still a hub in the Northeast, but nothing like these stadiums are running now. That seems bigger to me now.
But I think from a Cody standpoint, like to do it there, because isn't that where Dusty won the title and had it taken away?
Yeah, against Billy Graham.
So maybe there's something to that aspect of it.
Sure. Why not? Like I said, he will finish his story before he goes back to AEW and runs the company.
And maybe one day the story at the presser will finish. But let's get over to news and notes. The Rock is on stage now, so maybe we'll add to news and notes as we do this.
Yes, because by the way, Seth Rollins is still out there with The Rock and with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. So what's Seth still doing out there? He's waiting too?
That's the other weird part. Like, Seth's good to go for Mania, right?
At least for a one-off with the knee, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, so we're CJ Taylor's telling us that it's a mixed reaction for The Rock. It's what you imagine.
Yeah. Because
everyone wants Cody, so it's boos and cheers for The Rock right now because they didn't like Young Rock on NBC. All right, go ahead, sir.
News and notes. Another Tony Khan big announcement last night, and this one is that March 13th, AEW Dynamite returns to Boston for big business. For those of you that were looking at the graphic and studying closely, in that graphic, the word Boston spelled with 2 S's. Those S's were also dollar signs. Read into that as you wish.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know about you folks, but Brian Rhodes, my partner, sleuth. That's what I say.
Thank you, Twitter.
I think a sleuth is what we have amongst us right now. Yes. So this was reported months ago by Fightful Select, and I'm going to give Sean Ross Sapp his flowers because he was the first to report that Mercedes Moné was going to come to AEW. To come to find out, she's been on the payroll for a while, just not wrestling, just kind of healing up. And so she's going to be there in Boston. And boy, I didn't know that building would be available so quickly. It's amazing when you're a millionaire, by the way. It's like, can I get an open date on Wednesday? Yep. Let's book that right now, 5 weeks in advance. Wow, really? Wow, okay. So really a celebration of Mercedes Moné going back to her hometown in Boston. And that's cool because as you just mentioned, you talked about how the women's division and AEW in general getting better with their storylines.
Yep.
They are getting better. You're almost thinking about Britt Baker in the past now, based on the amount of women that are coming in now. Toni Storm wrestled like Toni Storm for once. She's going to be heard from. Julia Hart, all these wrestlers, and now Mercedes Moné. There are dream matches up and down that roster, along with Ring of Honor, by the way, that Mercedes Moné can be part of. Just book her right, man. Just book her right. She's got her own fan base. Just book her correctly. So,
yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with her. Obviously, we've seen with AEW, they get those shiny new toys. They're excited. They book them well, and they run out of steam. I hope that's not the case for Mercedes because she's a game changer.
So, is there a match off the top that you'd want to see? Mercedes Moné versus?
I'd love to see her and Tony.
Mercedes Moné against Tony. Mercedes Moné against Athena.
Yep.
Athena now.
Yes. Jamie Hayter when she comes back.
There's some dream matches there. Come on. We always saw her against Willow Nightingale, which is a good match because she got hurt.
Yeah.
She might want to avoid Willow.
Thunder Rosa. There's so many ways they can go.
Perazzo.
Yes.
Polarizing on social for no damn reason.
Yeah.
Girl can go.
Social.
I'm just repulsed by us as wrestling fans to be able to talk about her body shaming her and all this kind of stuff. Like, she's a really terrific wrestler.
Yeah.
That's a top-notch wrestler right there. So I just think that that's weird. There's some we want Rocky sucks chants. So thank you, Rocky. Now you're John Cena.
Yep. Elsewhere news and notes, Mike Johnson, a PW insider, reporting AEW might have some new headaches. Orange County prosecutors are moving forward with criminal charges against Cash Wheeler. He did plead not guilty to charges of aggravated assault with a firearm.
So we know what this means. More Dax the Axe singles matches coming up in 2024 if there's a prosecution there. Yeah, we were keeping our eyes on that story, and did he turn himself in? Is that what it was?
It was a road rage thing. He showed a gun. He's back in court in a few weeks, but this is a charge that could face up to 5 years in prison.
We'll see if he does any time. I kind of doubt it, but I think there's going to be something that's going on with him. And, we love that tag team, but again, you can't be brandishing a gun. I don't care what state you're in. You can't be brandishing a gun unless you feel like you're being seriously threatened and you got to defend yourself.
Yep. Brian Pillman's daughter revealed on social media that the WWE and the Pillman estate have reached a Legends deal. She says to stay tuned for new merchandise.
That's really cool. I love that for Brian Pillman. Saw him originally, bro. It's in WCW, and that's Flying Brian. And this is something that Jim Ross still hangs his hat on, talks about how this guy was a Cincinnati Bengal, and this guy was a nose tackle, did he say? At that size? I don't know. Anyway, so just the way that he was able to go from football to wrestling that quickly and not really miss a beat. It's so unfortunate that he hurt his leg and that he got injured, because even as with an injured Brian Pillman, he still signed with WWE because Vince McMahon thought so much of him because of the way he could speak. And Jim Ross told him, like, man, if you can't go, you could be a great commentator. But Brian didn't want to do that.
Right.
He wanted to be a wrestler in the ring because he felt like he could really be amazing if he was healthy. Now, here's what I want you to think about. Brian Pillman in 2024 at his age. Now, his son is fine. He's a good wrestler.
He's all right, yeah.
The persona, to the point where you don't know if he's a heel or babyface. You don't know if he's shooting or not. He did a lot of weird shit to get attention when he was a wrestler, but he was wacky, right? He was unpredictable, and he was working people. He's working the boys. He's working the office when he was in WCW. So I'm glad that he's going to get his comeuppance. Now, what happens with Lexi King? You denounced your father in NXT storyline, so you're going to be back in the mix now. I mean, the whole premise is, my dad. I got my stepdad's name. Okay, so now your dad is going to have a legacy deal. You got something to say about it now or no?
That'll be the face turn. By the way, in a football player turned wrestler news coming out today, Steve Mongo McMichael from your neck of the woods headed to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
So happy for Mongo. It's so unfortunate that he's getting this nod now because he's always been a Hall of Famer. He's great in college in Texas, and he is still with us. His wife Misty is great. Do I have a picture? Yeah. Hold on. I got a picture.
There we go. There's Mongo.
Right there. Got a picture of Mongo as the United States champion.
Love that.
We're friends, and he still signed it for me.
That's awesome.
So So I'm so happy for Mongo that he's going to the Hall of Fame, and he was the United States champion, bro. But he was a terrible wrestler. And I love him, man. Mongo knows I love him because when we see each other, we put up the 4. When he's long out of wrestling, we identify by putting up the 4 horsemen sign. But he had happy feet.
Yeah.
You remember that there used to be a Twitter feed of Mongo's mistake or whatever. They whip in the rope and he just had like French Flintstone like happy feet.
Ooh.
He just you talk about some stuff on Dynamite that might be a little bit sloppy. I mean, Mongo, he was really green. But
hey,
I'm glad he's in the
hard was.
I'm happy for him.
That's awesome. All right. We're still monitoring a press conference. We still do not have a WrestleMania main event yet. So, what were your matches of the week?
Yeah, so just so we're up to date, Cody's on stage right now. We're going to report this. We're going to stay on the air because
we're here.
This is
as long as we need.
This is election coverage. In a couple of days, only the last 10 minutes of this podcast will be relevant. Outside of the other notes that we had about TNA and AEW, Cody Rhodes is on stage right now with the other 3 competitors. Cody's face-to-face with Roman, and we'll find out exactly what's being said in a moment. But
this picture, by the way, of the actual Samoan family tree, pretty cool looking.
I'm going to have to take a look at that and break that down and see how many wrestlers from the tree I've actually seen.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So Cody's saying that I won the Royal Rumble. That's what he's saying to the crowd at T-Mobile Arena right now. Yes, you did.
Yep.
You know what? Before this happens, and I'm gonna give you match of the week in a second, bro. I kind of feel like he's gonna try to get himself in a three-way dance. I think he's gonna try to get his way into Roman versus Rock. What do you think?
I don't know.
59 minutes in. Give your prediction.
I think we get 2 nights of Roman.
Okay. Cody says, I choose you, Roman Reigns.
Then what the hell was Friday?
Okay. And now Triple H has made his way out to the stage as well. Can we take the audio of this or no?
I don't think so. How are we going to take that? You're off your phone?
Yeah. Can we do that or no?
I don't think we have Peacock permission.
Okay. Never mind that. We'll just
retweet. CJ Taylor, your check's in the mail, and by that I mean there's no check coming, but I appreciate you updating us.
We'll give him something for this. That's right. Cody says, I choose you, Roman Reigns, at WrestleMania. Match of the week, and we'll review that in just a moment. Match of the week. So there's a lot of choices here, bro. It's first, we talked earlier about Swerve versus Hangman. That speaks for itself. A match I would like to see, 20 more times. That's a real blood feud between the two. Now it's going to be a three-way dance at Revolution with Samoa Joe, Swerve, and Hangman. We talked about Big Bill and Ricky Starks against Sting and Darby Allin. Just Sting, what he was able to do, Darby Allin as well, is the best that we've seen from Big Bill in those green Timberlands, which is great. Ricky Starks, they got over with me in the match. They were good in a loss, those two. Bill,
they're awesome.
Starks. So Cody against Nakamura, a match we did not need again, but they had to set something up. Triple H loves to have a match 3 or 4 times.
They got a bull rope with Dusty's bull rope.
Yeah, which was interesting. But again, you watch the match and Nakamura's gonna lose.
Right.
You just know he's gonna lose. I'll just add one more, and it's Hechicero against Danielson at
Collision.
At Collision. Boy, what a match that was.
Yep. So damn good. I almost feel like with this category, when we do our matches of the week, it's the Bryan Danielson, Swerve Strickland matches of the week. You got them, whatever they're doing is going to be in it, and then whatever else happened that week.
I mean, so I hadn't seen this man wrestle before, this masked man, Hechicero. I've never seen him wrestle before. He did some things I had never seen before, with leg locks and everything else. It was I just thought it was amazing. And it was totally different from anything we've seen this week because it was mat-based.
Yeah. And
so when you're that close, when you're pretty much on the Mexican border of Texas is where this emanated from. Just to know that fan base that was watching on Saturday night knew who Hechicero was.
Yeah.
They knew who he was. Now, we didn't. We're not watching CMLL. I'm just telling you, we have to be transparent with these things. We only have so much wrestling bandwidth, and I'm not watching CMLL every week. So
Meltzer said it might be part of Forbidden Doors. So I might need to start watching more.
I guess. But that was a fantastic match to the point where I think Danielson should have lost. How about that?
Wow. Okay. But even the mat wrestling getting over, which you always hear people criticize, the spots and things like that. That was impressive. So I agree that match, Hangman and Swerve, some others I'll throw out there. The match before that, Eddie versus Brian Keith, and then Brian Keith being all elite. That was a fun match between those two on Saturday night.
Yes, I'm happy for Brian Keith because Brian Keith was, for a guy that had been with the company, I already thought he was all elite.
Yeah.
Contract there. It's something weird, bro. I want you to know this next time you see him, as we see the Rock slap Cody Rhodes. The Rock just slapped Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
He slapped the shit out of Cody. And so now we got a problem, and we still don't know what's up with this matchup. My point is that next time you notice, who were we just talking about? The rest of the
Brian Keith.
Brian Keith.
Yeah.
Next time you see Brian Keith, notice how he looks small, but he wrestles big.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, you notice that Eddie Kingston had to go down to lock up because he's not used to wrestlers that are shorter than him. But I think that Keith, the way he's able to point to the sky and the way he's kind of on his tiptoes, kind of like Randy Savage. Savage was actually really 5'10", but he wrestled 6 foot because he's always on the move. You can never catch him. He's always weird and moving his. So he actually was not 6 foot. But I think the same thing from Keith, where he's not just a little wrestler. He's dressed in black, so you can't really tell. it's interesting to watch him perform.
And I think it was cool also after the match, like when he finds out he's all elite, like he plays that big mean guy, like that smile, that was genuine emotion out of him on Saturday.
I have another one as we okay, so now all we have is Rock and we have Rock and Roman Reigns still left on the stage as they moved Cody off.
Yeah, so I think the general consensus of this press conference that looks like it's wrapping up is that we got nothing out of it. We still don't know the Mania main events.
Okay. Well, you and I need to talk about this now. Okay. This will be the finale here. I want to give a shout out to DIY against Imperium and New Day and the Creed Brothers, because I just thought that was the best match on Raw on
Completely agree. And the other one I want to give love to also, Dragunov versus Trick Williams from NXT Vengeance Day.
How good was that match? I did not see it.
It was so good. It was awesome. The turn after from Carmelo, the HBK essential, clone at this point. That was just a damn good match. There's things in NXT watching that show where there are wrestlers I want to see more of. There also are wrestlers that I understand why they're on NXT and I don't watch every week, but that main event was damn good this weekend.
All right, let's start here. Broads, here we go. So this is the lights out section of Good Karma Wrestling, because whether you can stay or leave, but we're going to talk about this right now. This is the lights out section. The show's over, but now this is the addition. All right, so the WrestleMania kickoff from Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena is over, and this is our post coverage of the kickoff. Now, we know that we had the combatants where there was Seth Rollins, there was Roman Reigns, there was Cody Rhodes, there was The Rock. They were all there. They were all there. You saw Paul Heyman, some of the other dignitaries from WWE, and they were there to be able to find out who was going to be in the main event for WrestleMania Night 1 or Night 2. And I'm seeing fans leave the arena right now because I don't think that we have found out who's going to wrestle who yet.
Well, let's recap Cody Rhodes' last few weeks. So a few weeks ago, Saturday night, wins the Rumble, points at Roman, says, "I want you, Roman." Then on SmackDown, he says, "All right, not at Mania, Roman. I'm going to take everything from you, but not at Mania." And now tonight he says, "Hey, Roman, I want you at Mania." Right? That's where we're at with Cody right now?
Yes, but is it booked, though? It's not booked. That has to be something that, okay.
The Rock was apparently offended that Cody took shots at their family.
Okay, that's fine, but there's nothing that was set in stone. Triple H already spoke before the combatants came out. The people in Las Vegas came to the T-Mobile Arena to find out who was going to be in the main event at WrestleMania, and to have how many people that were there to be able to see what was going to happen, and then still have no conclusion. That's unfair to the fans. That's also unfair to the media that traveled to Las Vegas on Super Bowl week to be able to be part of this, and then there's no announcement. Are you shitting me?
Insane.
No announcement? Are you shitting me?
They did nothing. They got over almost 300,000 people watching on YouTube, though.
Okay, so why did they do that? That's the question. Why would they do something like that and bring the people there and then still not have a solution to this? Cody says, "I want Roman." Okay, that makes the waters very murky.
Yeah,
and I know the storyline continues, but they said it was supposed to happen now. That we're supposed to find out in Vegas what the main event is going to be. They're still stretching this out. Do you think the WWE knows at this point?
No, I feel like they're scrambling. They don't know what they're doing right now. They're going to make us turn into Friday and try and figure out then how long are they going to push this down the road and just kick the rock? No pun intended.
Oh, you see, I don't know. I have no understanding of what they're doing here. What is going on?
And Pat McAfee has to work this. Doesn't that man work enough hours?
Well, he's already out there with his show in Vegas. He just walked over.
Okay.
Took care of this. So what do you think the end result is going to be with this, bro? How will they handle this? Because there's supposed to be some kind of announcement out of this in Vegas, and we get nothing.
I don't think we get anything. I think it's the WWE just saying like, we don't know what to do. So the graphic behind them is Roman and Cody.
Yes.
I don't know if that means anything.
Okay. So what does this mean for like Drew McIntyre also? That still matters. What's happening with Drew McIntyre?
No idea. They are interviewing Triple H in the back right now.
Okay. Do you think we'll get clarity from that?
No. I think they're going to tune in Friday.
Oh, wow. Are you thinking of stretch this out already to SmackDown?
Why not?
Okay.
Hard to say what went on. A lot of tension right there. The Rock's walking by Triple H. A lot of egos. This is all from Hunter.
Okay.
So Rock and Roman are walking out together, like as if they're a unit.
Well, this is supposed to be part of the family tree, right? I mean,
Yeah,
well,
Rock said it's out of line that Cody talked about the family like that.
mm-hmm. Or will we get a four-way dance? Roman Rock.
Hunter is left speechless, just staring at Rock's reaction. So you throw Seth in and just do a four-way?
I'm just wondering. But then that doesn't solve anything for night one or night two, whatever this is going to be. I just think that it's very disappointing that they did not come to a conclusion so where you can pump up what's going on. Now, listen, with CM Punk not being part of this, I know that is a very difficult decision to find out who's going to be night one, night two. But it doesn't mean that you got to keep stretching this out. You got to find out. People travel to Vegas to be able to see this and still no resolution. I think that's disappointing.
CM Punk does say when people don't like each other, that sells tickets, and also that let men fight when they're fighting.
Yeah.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Cool, guys. Thanks, Hunter.
All right. So my prediction is that I could see the opportunity for Cody Rhodes to find a way to get in this matchup with The Rock and Roman Reigns.
Also, is there, like, if we go forward, like the men's chamber, is there a men's chamber? Like, I think they're scrambling. There's no way they expected this reaction. They expected Rock to come out, they do the stare down, everyone's excited, and then all of a sudden people are like, no, we want Cody. Like, no, you don't. You want The Rock. Look, we're giving you Dwayne. And now they're scrambling. They don't know what to do.
CJ Taylor, we should put him to the platform here because he's done yeoman's work. CJ Taylor says, Rock to Triple H. The quote is, either you fix it or we will. You don't talk shit about my family. Okay.
Yeah, so I had it up for that. So the two of them are Roman and Rock are walking out as a unit together. They walk by Hunter. He yells at Hunter, and that's it.
Okay. Now, usually how this works in boxing and MMA is that the matches are signed or clearly defined, and you are just doing the weigh-ins, as you well know,
right.
and you're, you get some back and forth, some barbs on the mic, and the match is already locked in, and then that's it. But we're not getting that.
Nothing. Their stream says thanks for watching.
Yeah, that's it, right? Yes, I got the same thing. Okay, well, just like WWE says, thanks for watching. Thanks for checking in to Good Karma Wrestling. As we told you, make sure you subscribe to the youtube.com for Good Karma Wrestling. Like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And also at GKW_wrestling on Twitter, X. Make sure that you follow us there. And now, my friend, we are on TikTok.
There we go.
You heard about this.
Maybe there's a main event there. Go search through TikTok. Maybe we can find it there.
Look for Good Karma Wrestling on TikTok as well. GKW Wrestling is where you can find us on TikTok as we give you the breaking news and quick opinions on what's going on. So follow us there as well. All right. So for Gabe Neitzel, who's almost in Vegas for this one, he'll be disappointed when he lands and finds that everything's ended at T-Mobile.
He can go to Collision this weekend, though. He'll be there in Henderson.
I'm in Henderson, Nevada for Collision. Along with Brian Rhodes, I'm Jonathan Hood. Thanks so much for listening to Good Karma Wrestling. Make sure that you hit us up. Give us your thoughts on what's happening with AEW, WWE, TNA, and everything